Well. This caused a bit of a stir, didn't it? This is the Logitech Flip Folio, which is an iPad case with, as you can see, a hideable Bluetooth magnetic keyboard, which literally just disappears when you put it onto the case. Some people don't like it. I did a video about this a few weeks ago, and the comment section was literally split down the middle. 50% of people saying, wow, that's just what I've been looking for. And the other 50% of people saying, what have they done? Where's the trackpad? This is terrible. This is criminal. What are Logitech thinking? As though Logitech had made this thing and gone, oh no, we've forgotten the trackpad, guys. Obviously, that was a design decision. There are other options, which is why I thought I'd make this video to satisfy the other side of the fence. So what I'll do is compare this, the Flip Folio, against Logitech's other offering and the good old-fashioned Apple Magic Keyboard and try and work out which one is for you. But before we get started, just a very quick word from today's sponsor, which is Paperlike. If you do anything with your Apple Pencil on your iPad, drawing, writing, illustrating, you need a Paperlike. This is for two reasons. Firstly, it protects that very expensive display and it doesn't dull the colors. So once you've put it on, and it's very easy to apply, guys. If I can do it, you can definitely do it. It doesn't dull the colors, but it keeps that lovely, expensive iPad screen pristine beneath, which is very important. The second thing it does, and it's very difficult to get this across on a video, is that it makes the iPad display feel like paper, hence the name. So if you're writing or drawing, it genuinely feels and sounds as well like paper. There's a reason I put a Paperlike onto every single iPad that comes into this studio, which is a lot. To find out more, just click that link below. I think this comparison is particularly important now because we have iPadOS 26 on the way, and yes, at the time of filming, you can install the public beta of that. Personally, I'd wait until the proper version comes out later this year, but the point being, we're finally getting a version of iPadOS that is like macOS. So we have proper windowing, proper multitasking, we have a proper Files app that does lots of Mac-like things, finally, and also we have window controls and all this sort of stuff, which puts more of an emphasis, I think, on this kind of setup, which is it's a laptop replacement. I know people don't like that term when it comes to the iPad, but a lot of people do replace their MacBooks and their Windows laptops with, an iPad with a keyboard and potentially a trackpad. Let's start with the Magic Keyboard. It's the most expensive one on this list, so it goes from £269, we'll put the US pricing down below, by the way, £269 for the 11-inch iPad Air version to £349 for the 13-inch iPad Pro version. That is the one here. I have an M2 13-inch iPad Pro, so it's very expensive. And no, they don't make one for the iPad Mini. I wish they did. In fact, none of these cases and these keyboards in this list work with the iPad Mini, which is a bit annoying, but that's the way it is. In terms of what I like about the Magic Keyboard, it's that zero faff setup. You get it out of the box, you open it up, you do that, bang, bosh, done, whatever. It just starts working. There's no pairing, there's no charging. It's just so convenient. Also, if you want to take the iPad off and just use it as an iPad, you can do that as well. There's a downside to that, which I'll come on to in a second. The typing experience is very, very nice. I've always loved the Magic Keyboard. It's just got the right amount of travel. It's backlit as well. The keys are well spaced and full size and all that sort of stuff. The newer versions of this Magic Keyboard do have the function key row at the top as well. The trackpad is the best on the market. Apple makes the best trackpads anywhere. If you don't agree with me, get involved in the comments. As an overall experience for typing and moving the mouse around, brilliant. What I don't like about it is the fact that it doesn't protect your iPad, really. Apart from when you've got it in there, yes, it protects the screen and it protects most of the rear, apart from the camera bump. But the sides aren't protected. They're completely exposed. And also, if I fancy using this as a tablet and not having that in the way, yes, I can do that very easily, but the iPad is completely exposed. Now, I know some cases do work with the Magic Keyboard. I can't comment on which ones they are or how reliable that is, but that isn't really what Apple expects you to do. They expect you to just to take your naked iPad and put it on there and remove it. So that's not great. Also, the material this thing is made out of, I don't know what it is. I've never known what it is, but it scuffs horrendously. Look at this. Now, to put this in context, I don't use this very often. I've just had to charge it because it was completely dead before I started this video. So I don't use this in anger, really. I used it consistently for about 2 or 3 months, possibly. But that wasn't all day. It wasn't a replacement for my MacBook. And look at it. It's a bit of a mess. Now, the white one does fare a little bit better. So I'd personally recommend that you go for the white version, although that does pick up color stains. I've found that I've had issues with it attracting color from other objects and being very hard to clean. But in fairness, that's quite rare. And also, it just doesn't end up looking like this one. So the material, it also adds quite a lot of weight to the iPad as well. And yes, all three do that. So it's not fair to just label this as being the heavy one, but bear that in mind that if you've got your heart set on the Magic Keyboard, it does add quite a lot of heft and bulk to your iPad. And if you've got the iPad Pro, the really thin one, then that can be a bit irritating. The last thing I don't like about it is the price. It is expensive. And as I mentioned, if you're buying this at the start, when you first buy your iPad, if you chuck one of these into the basket as well, the price of your iPad shoots up quite frighteningly. So it's a typically Apple expensive accessory. Who's it for? Well, it's for Apple fan people, because if you just want Apple accessories for your iPad, you have to get the Magic Keyboard. And it's for people who want the absolute best typing and trackpad experience, particularly the trackpad, because you can't get better. I don't think that's a reason to go with this over the other two. Well, it is over one of the other two, but I'll get to that later. But it's worth bearing in mind that if you're a proper Apple person, you want the best of everything, but you don't mind accepting a few compromises in terms of protection for your iPad and convenience, then the Magic Keyboard is for you. If, however, it's too expensive, you're worried about the protection, and you want something that isn't Apple, then keep watching. By the way, guys, links to all of these products are in the description down below, so make sure you go and check them out if you fancy buying one. This is the Logitech Combo Touch, and it's a more affordable alternative to the Magic Keyboard. It starts at about £160 for the regular iPad and goes up to £229 for the 13-inch iPad Pro version. This is the 11-inch M4 iPad Pro in here, and it's one of my favorite setups ever. I've used this for several months just to get my head around how much better it is than the Magic Keyboard, and I think it is, personally. This is completely a personal preference, but what it has over and above the Magic Keyboard is two things primarily. Firstly, you can do that. The keyboard comes off. So if you want to use this as an iPad, you take that off, you put it somewhere and you forget about it, and you're left with an iPad, which is protected. That's the second thing. It has proper protection. So the case stays on here, even though the keyboard has disappeared, and you have all-round protection. The only bit that's missing is that, because that's where your Apple Pencil goes. So the Apple Pencil is still compatible with it, but it's really rugged, this thing. And it has a kickstand, and there's lots of different angles of adjustment, which is lovely. And when you want to go back to using this as a laptop replacement, you just do that, you flick out the kickstand, and bang, away you go. The keyboard is fantastic. The trackpad is fantastic. It's just such a good example of how much more you can get for your money if you go outside of Apple when it comes to accessories. Oh, and yes, the keyboard's backlit. The trackpad is nice and big. It's not quite as fluid and as good as the Magic Keyboard, but that is a tiny, tiny concession that you have to make, I think. We do get a function row key as well, function key row, whatever. It's such a good package. And it wears better. So I used this for 2 or 3 months, nearly every single day, and it came with me everywhere. In comparison, the Magic Keyboard, yes, I am charging this because I've not used it for ages, but the Magic Keyboard is very scuffed. This isn't. And it's just as convenient as well. There's no charging. It pairs instantly. Basically, it uses that smart connector that the Magic Keyboard uses. So it's no different in that regard. It's cheaper. The keyboard is just as good. The trackpad is just a little bit off. It wears better. You can do that. What else? That's going to be enough for a lot of people. In terms of what I don't like about it, there's not much really. I've only listed 2 things here. The first thing is the trackpad, which is good, but not quite as good as the Magic Keyboard. And the second thing is that it smudges a little bit, but again, not as much as the Magic Keyboard. Who's it for? Well, I think a lot of people. I think if you can get past that feeling that you're not using an official Apple accessory, you're not really losing anything. In fact, you're gaining stuff. You're gaining money in your wallet. You're also gaining functionality. You're gaining the ability to do that. It's really, really good. But there is a third option. Here we go again. Right. This is the Logitech Flip Folio, and I think, in fact, I know this is the most divisive product I've ever featured on this channel. I can't believe I'm saying that, it's just a keyboard case, but for some reason the people who don't like this thing vehemently disagree with it. They really went for it in the comment section. We will link to that review at the end of this video. I won't go into the full details on this thing now because I haven't got the energy for it, to be honest, and equally you can just watch the full review if you need to. But the basics, it starts at 159 for the 11-inch version and goes up to 179 for the 13-inch version. And this is just the iPad Air and the iPad Pro. You can't get it for the iPad Mini. Again, I wish you could, but you just can't. You can't get it for the regular iPad either. And the way it works is really straightforward. It spends most of its life being a case for your iPad. Simple. However, if you want to get some work done, there's a Bluetooth keyboard hiding on the back of it, and it just attaches via magnets, so it disappears when you're not using it, and when you need it, you just do that. You put it on the desk and away you go. No, there's no trackpad, but that is the whole point of this thing. It basically promotes iPad first usage, and what I mean by that is that it spends most of its life there. The keyboard is just out of sight, out of mind, and you can just use it if you need to do some emails and do a bit of writing or whatever. It's not meant to be a laptop replacement, which is what the other two I've just shown you are. It just means that with the Flip Folio attached, the iPad is more of an iPad. And I found myself using this as an iPad more than I did with the other two. Even the Combo Touch, which can become an iPad much more readily. There's just something about the Flip Folio that says, you don't need to work all the time. You know, I'm here if you need me, hello, but chill out. Watch something on your iPad. Do something fun with your iPad. Just remember, I'm always here. Now, there are some problems, not the lack of a trackpad, because that's not the point of, you don't buy this and think, oh no, where's the trackpad? It's, you know that when you buy this. The problem, the main problem, I think, which I completely agree with, is the fact that it doesn't offer all-round protection. So when I close the case, we can see that we do have exposed iPad all the way around, which doesn't bother me personally, but I know that bothers a lot of people. The other problem is that occasionally, when you slip that into a very tight backpack, the keyboard does move. It comes off, and I've not lost it yet, but it can be a little bit annoying. The other thing is you can't recharge it, which I understand why that bothers people, but the other side of that is the fact that it has a 2-year battery and you can replace it at the end of that. So you've got 2 years to use this thing basically, and then replace the battery. But I do understand why some people are bothered by the fact you can't recharge it, or the fact that it doesn't use the smart connector just like the other two do. I am a little bit exhausted by the rest of the commentary on that video. It's still going today. Every day we get comments on that video, but it's just one option. You don't have to buy this. You can buy the Combo Touch instead if you want to, or you can buy the Magic Keyboard. And I'd love to know in the comments which iPad keyboard case you've gone for, or if you've gone for some kind of hybrid thing where you have a separate keyboard and a separate stand or separate case, whatever it might be. Get involved down below. Tell us about your iPad setup, and if, well, does it, have you bought this? Who has bought the Flip Folio? Please let me know if you've bought this, because we can be mates. In the meantime, if you've got this far in this video, thank you so much. Please consider hitting subscribe, hit like, tell your mates, get involved in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.